The night I met my first sentient spray paint tag, the drizzle tasted like rust and neon. Sloppy sodium lamps threw puddles of ochre light over the alley off 26th and Rivington, and every brick wall shimmered with wet color. "Detective Bishop?" a voice hissed from the mortar. I almost drew my service piece before remembering I'd traded the badge for a private investigator's license and swapped the department-issued Glock for an iron-inlaid snub nose. My partner, an exorcist's salt shaker, held shut with duct tape, rattled in my coat pocket. Rain darkened the back of my gray fedora as I cocked an eyebrow at the wall itself. The mural was a riot of angles and vowels, the kind of kaleidoscopic tag that gets you arrested if the cops can find you with a fresh can. Fluorescent oranges folded into electric blues, spelling, if you squinted, crack. The K curled like a beckoning finger. The A winked a triangle eye. The whole name flexed as though painted on muscle. "I don't do vandalism cases," I said, "especially when the vandal calls me." "Not vandalism," the wall rasped. "Murder." Graffiti letters rippled and rearranged until they wrote, "Garg killed. Help." I kept my hands in my pockets. "Start at the beginning." The wet bricks quivered. Dribbles of paint gathered, formed lips. 3 nights ago, someone pushed Garg off St. Tiberius's tower, shattered him on the street like cheap china. Garg, as in the Gargoyle, our friend, our sentinel, protector of roof's edge. A streak of red dripped downward like a tear, then zipped back up as if rewound. Find who did it, make them answer, or we smear our truth across precinct walls. I'd been an NYPD detective before a demon wore my partner's bones like a prom tux, so threats from haunted color didn't raise my blood pressure much. But the department wouldn't enjoy waking tomorrow to confessions sprawled in 20-foot letters over City Hall. The chief would call me anyway. Might as well get ahead. "All right, crack." I tasted nozzle propellant in the air, recognized hints of benzene and youthful stupidity. "You hiring me officially?" A can popped from a hidden crevice, rolled to my foot. Masking tape on its belly read, "Retainer." "Expense it," the wall murmured. I accepted. The can was full of iridescent paint that kept swirling, though, untouched. Enough supernatural weirdness to cover my feet twice. "Tell me about Garg," I said. "Last seen alive?" "Perched," the letters answered. "Midnight as usual, watching for winged wraiths and drunken thrill-seekers. Church tower as vantage. He never fell. He was pushed." "How do you know?" The vowels around the K stiffened. "Nobody saw. We heard. Stone screams different when betrayed." I didn't roll my eyes, never disrespect a client, but stone screaming traveled outside my auditory range. Still, feelings vibrate through the city's hidden nerve network. Rusted fire escapes, cracked cornices, loose manhole covers. I had the gift, or the curse, to sense those currents, so I believed them. "One more thing," I said. "Why come to me?" The wall scrawled, "You listen." Then, "Hurry. Fair enough?" I tipped my hat, turned, and nearly tripped over an old man sheltered under a torn awning. He grinned, toothless. "Talking to the wall, Bishop?" "Talking to myself," I corrected, but even the alley's rats knew better. St. Tiberius's church stabbed 13 stories into fog, its limestone spire patched with soot. When I got there, the street was cordoned off by orange plastic fencing. Shards of gargoyle, wings, claws, leonine muzzle, lay piled like broken bones. The city had thrown a tarp over them, but the restless wind peeled it back to show the corpse. Death scene 3 nights old, but the air still quivered. There's a frequency sorrow carries that dogs can hear and statues amplify. I knelt and pressed a gloved hand to a chunk of wing. Stone memory flooded. Night sky. The taste of lightning. Perpetual vigilance. Then a shove. Not gravity's slow invitation, but a violent thrust. Surprise, betrayal, and the crack of impact. I withdrew before the echo swallowed me. A maintenance ladder bolted behind the apse led to the roof. I climbed. Nobody challenged me. I still carry myself like a cop, and the collar of my duster hides the fact I'm not. The roof was slick. At its edge, a stone pedestal stood naked, clawed indentations where Garg's talons had gripped for decades. I squatted. Powdery grit, ground limestone, mixed with something else. Sea salt. odd, given we were miles inland. I tasted a grain on my tongue, not ordinary sodium chloride. It burned cold. Exorcist's salt. My kind of trouble. A rustle behind the belfry made me pivot. My hand brushed the snub nose, but I held fire. A girl in neon sneakers peeked around the bell's rope. Blue sparks played in her eyes. "You're late," she said, voice humming like a synthesizer. "Name's Bishop," I replied. "You knew Sacristan?" She shrugged. "More like the roof's Instagram." She lifted a phone, screen glowing, but the reflection showed animated skylines, not my face. I post what the city sees. Stories vanish in 24 hours, like Garg. Teenagers channel weird energies these days. Their online presence is half real, half astral projection. "Did you see him fall?" "Falling's all over TikTok," she said. "Million angles of people falling, but not this one. Someone scrubbed it." "Someone?" She jabbed a thumb upward, not at the sky, at the ambient wireless cloud of data above us. "Trace leads to a user named Nulltag, IP impossible." She flicked me a digital card. It materialized briefly, vanishing into my coat lining. Tech ghosts respect pockets. "What's your name?" I asked. "Doesn't matter. By tomorrow I'll rebrand." She planted a sticker on the parapet, pixelated wings. "Bring Garg back." Then she hopped to an adjacent roof, disappearing among vents. I sighed. Witness statements these days needed hashtags and holy water. Back at street level, thunder rumbled. I weighed my clues: arcane salt, digital erasure, and Crack's insistence on betrayal. Time to canvass the neighborhood, its human populace and its painted spirits. I headed to the Bowery, where spray can crews gather under the subway trestles, smoking clove vapes and arguing over chroma theory. Tags burbled greetings as I passed. Bent arrows, bubble fonts, 3D wild style. They recognized me. Word travels by brick whisper. At the tunnel mouth, a mural of a howling wolf flexed. "Bishop," it barked. "You looking for Husk?" Paint drool dripped ink-black fangs. "Not tonight," I answered. "Need intel on Garg's killer." The wolf sneered. "Ask his ex." "Garg dated?" Paint crackled like laughter. "Sort of. Check the copper angel on the Flatiron roof." The mural faded into sullen silence. It was a 3-mile walk. I could have hailed a spectral cab, yellow paint on wheels of memory. But the drizzle cleared, giving the city that fresh laundered smell. I enjoy hoofing it when the ghosts quiet down. The Flatiron's upper cornice houses a handful of statues no tourist notices. The copper angel, weather green and slender, was perched above the 21st floor. I flashed my license at a bored security guard, bribed him with a story about lightning rod inspections, and took the narrow stairwell. At the top, I stepped onto a maintenance ledge. The angel woman leaned on a window washer rail, wings drooping. Oxidation streaked her cheeks like mascara. "Evening," I said. Her eyes slid open, luminous topaz gems that only a sensitive could see. "Detective," she sighed, voice like brushed cymbal. "Come to poke at fresh heartbreak?" "Just want the truth." She traced circles on the tarnished railing. Garg was heavy stone but gentle heart. He believed vigilance mattered. "I understand you two were close." "Centuries share secrets," she smiled sadly. "He visited me during storms, told me stories of pigeons and moon phases. But 3 nights passed, he said he sensed rot among the rooftops. A presence." "What presence?" She shook her head. "He didn't name it, but he asked to borrow my mirror." "Mirror?" She produced a shard, dark glass framed in copper. "Shows what wings conceal." She clutched it tight. "I gave it on loan. Now it's gone with him." Progress. "Someone wanted that mirror," I said. "Worth killing for." "No." Her voice trembled. "If they only desired the mirror, they could have pried it off him after. The shatter. That was spite." "Who hated him?" "Ask the pigeons," she whispered. "They gossip nonstop. But hurry, night deepens." I tipped my hat. On the way down the stairs, I texted a crow I knew, feathered informant who perched outside the precinct memorial. He owed me after I once cured him of a hexed peanut. Crows and pigeons don't mingle, but birds trade favors. By morning, my phone pinged with coordinates to the Cathedral of Commerce, Old bank tower crowned with gargoyles turned grotesques by acid rain. Pigeons roost there in noisy flocks. I ascended service stairs, scattering droppings. A matronly pigeon with oil-slick feathers waddled forward. Her aura smelled of popcorn. "You the investigator?" "I am." "You bring cracked corn?" I produced a baggie, quid pro quo. While her brood pecked, she preened. Garg was honorable, didn't chase us like some, loved the city even when the city forgot him. I'm told he sensed rot. Any feathered eyes see what visited his tower? She cooed conspiratorially. Night before his fall, an owl landed atop the bell tower, but not an owl, hollow inside, eyes wrong. Owl statues exist, I mused, but a hollow owl? Wings with silver tips, she added, and smell of burned data. Null tag? Silver paint cans often denote high-end metallic finish. A malicious graffiti entity wearing owl form? Could the owl fly? Glided without flapping, like code runs on wind. She shuddered. We left. Returned next dusk. Garg was gone. I nodded. Thank you. I left extra corn. So, a hollow owl, exorcist salt, digital erasure. Someone mixing old ritual with new tech. I headed to an abandoned printing factory in Gowanus, rumored runtime of null tag. Industrial shadows sprawled. Signal static prickled my skin. As I stepped inside, an augmented reality overlay flashed, impossible icons swirling. Null tag was here, painting in wavelengths unseen. My snub nose wouldn't help. Entities born of signal require electromagnetic answers. Lucky for me, I kept a magnetized coil in my bag. Looks like a slingshot, hurls loops of iron filings that disrupt code ghosts. I advanced. Machines stood like fossilized giants. On a cinder block wall, fresh chrome paint glinted. A massive stylized owl, wing feathers pixelating into binary digits. Its eyes were empty sockets, swirling static. "Bishop," it hooted in surround sound. "Still chasing stones?" "You toppled him," I accused. "Stones are obsolete. The Skyline's new guardians are data." The owl's beak sharpened, syllables clipping like corrupted files. Garg hated progress. I scanned. Fragments of black obsidian in the paint mixture, probably used to store negative resonance. And there, at the mural's base, was the Copper Angel's mirror wedged into mortar, power cable snaking to a server rack. The owl was harnessing the reflection to spy on rooftop spirits. "You killed him for surveillance equipment?" I spat. "Killed him for standing in the way," the owl retorted. "City belongs to those who adapt. Stone cannot pivot. Stone only crumbles." I raised the coil. "Adapt to this." I loosed iron filings. They tore across the mural in a shimmering arc, disrupting magnetic alignment. The owl shrieked, sound like thousands of modems dying. Pixels bled from its outline. But Nulltag was no mere two-dimensional ghost. It expelled itself from the wall, assembling into a 3-meter avian silhouette made of static and paint fumes. Talons of liquid chrome scraped concrete. I ducked behind an old offset press, heart hammering. The owl's digital wings beat once, gust-shattering window panes. I fished in my coat for the exorcist's salt canister, the one that rattled earlier, and popped the duct tape. Salt surrounded by iron filings might do. I stepped out. "Hey, Pixel Face!" The owl pivoted. Glitching feathers crackled with electricity. I flung the salt in a wide fan. Crystals flashed even in dimness. Each grain, a microscopic rune. They fused with the iron dust still clinging to Nulltag. A net of rune-encoded metal wrapped the entity, hissing. "Old tech beats new," I said. Nulltag convulsed, screeched, then imploded. Paint spattered, signal hiss cut out. The room smelled of ozone, turpentine, and closure. The mirror clattered free. In its dark surface I saw my reflection, and behind me, cracked stylized K glowed faintly on a rusted beam. The graffiti network had been watching. I pocketed the mirror, wiped sweat. Destroying Nulltag didn't bring Garg back, but the city can resurrect heroes in its own way. I approached St. Tiberius with the mirror, the bag of Garg's fragments, and a mason friend who owed me after I banished a poltergeist from his cement mixer. Reconstruction took 2 nights. The angel donated copper shavings. Crack and his wall crew provided adhesion, enchanted paint that seeped into cracks, bonding stone into living continuity. The pigeons lined up feathers and ceremonial patterns. Weirdest funeral or rebirth I'd attended. On the third midnight, thunder rolled. Lightning licked the steeple, energizing embedded copper. Garg's reassembled body glowed, cracks sealed. His stone eyelids fluttered. I leaned on my cane. Long night had aggravated an old bullet scar. The gargoyle's great head lifted. "Detective," Garg rumbled, voice like distant quarries. "What happened?" "Murder case closed," I said. "City justice served." He flexed wings, testing joints. "Null tag?" "Neutralized. Might respawn somewhere, but for now you're safe." Garg's stone brow furrowed. "We are never safe. The city evolves. Threats mutate." "True, but allies evolve too." I gestured at the gathered watchers, Crack's neon letters glowing, pigeons fluttering, the copper angel shimmering on a nearby lightning rod. "Your community showed up," I told him. "Remember that, next time you feel alone." Garg bowed his head to the wall, Crack reshaped into a smiling face. I turned to leave, case closed, but paperwork remained. Yes, even PIs have forms, supernatural or not. The rain resumed its soft rust taste. "Bishop," Garg called. I stopped. He extended something, the mirror now clean. "Take it. You may need to see hidden wings." I tucked it in my coat. "Appreciated." A week later, I met Crack in the same alley. The wall shimmered with pride. "Good job, detective." Letters formed a thumbs-up emoji, then dissolved. "Word is Nulltag's fragments drifting in the web, but patchy," I offered. Crack spat a swirl of indigo. "We'll monitor." I raised the enchanted paint can they had used as retainer. "Still half full. Your payment?" "Keep," the wall said. "Retainers retain." I tipped the brim of my hat, appreciation unspoken. As I walked out, the city hummed. Rooftop watchers resumed their silent vigil. Somewhere, a server booted, perhaps seeding seeds of new threats. But that's tomorrow's case. Tonight, a restored gargoyle surveyed glowing streets, spray-painted guardians whispered, and a weary ex-cop in a damp fedora found solace knowing the city, sentient, stubborn, half-mad, had one more night of uneasy peace.